And it's a good Friday, and it's a blessing to be with you again. It's a blessing to be able to share some information with you and talk about the events that have been happening in the community. Like I said, my name is Carol. This is the community conversation. I am your host, and I am also a candidate for the First Ward City Council seat. I'd appreciate your support, and for those who have been supporting me and reaching out, you are always gladly appreciated. I thank you so much. And we're going to get into some serious conversations. Actually, everything is what you would expect it to be, except for with the heat or with the beautiful weather, always comes a few disappointments. So we want to talk about those things and jump right into that. Also, my co-host, Miss Stephany, is here with us. Steph, you wanna
Woo,
14?
I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's
Yes,
time.
yes. And so it is a blessing to be back with you. I always say it's a good Friday, and it is, because we're getting off into downtime, family reunions, getting out, getting exercise, riding your bikes, doing your gardening. This is truly my favorite time of the year, as my home girl, as my compadre would often say. I'm looking forward to a hot girl summer. Ain't that what you say, Steph?
I'm still
Leah,
trying to find that hot girl summer. I'm still trying to have one. It's July.
uh,
I'm down a month, but I'm still trying.
look, if you get you 2, 3 good weeks out of it at our age, you done did what you're
Right.
supposed to do.
At this age, if I get 2 or 3 weeks, you're right. I'm headed again. I'm back on top. I'm city girl
Yes,
winning.
I know it. So we're going to get right into it because we've had some incidents going on in the city of Flint. I really want to discuss it and ask my co-host what she think about it. As you know, here in the first ward, we had two young people. Um, we lost two young people to homicide, a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old at Benberry Place, and that is in the first ward. Also, one black male was found shot 5 times on Pearson Road. So we're having an uptick in gun violence in the community, and it's so sad. And they're saying it's also been speculated that the two young people homicide may have been related to another homicide that took place outside of Flint. But it's
Beach from Mount Morris Township area.
Yes, 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 yes. You've heard all about it because it's talked about. It's just like a table discussion. But the saddest part is at 13, 15, 16 to lose your life so violently. I think it says a lot about our community and what is going on in the community. I think, as you know, that's one of my issues that I'm speaking on from the public service standpoint. We need a public safety plan, and that includes against homicides or violent crimes. I mean, like I was talking. Go ahead.
Most of the time when you look at at these violent crimes, there are other crimes that snowball, and then this is the culmination of it. So we do need to have a plan. From what I, like you said, from what I understood, these young men were related to, it was the one homicide is related to the other with the four young men total. I think but I only think one of them in the Beecher um incident was killed. The other was in critical condition or something like that, I think. And prayer goes out to those families.
I think no. I think the two young people on Bomberry. I think they passed.
Yeah, the two on Banbury passed, but I think the two in Beecher, only
Well,
one of
one.
them passed, and one was in critical condition.
Okay, so I wasn't aware that it was one in critical condition. I know we lost one
Yeah,
in Beecher as well.
it's a I don't have any children. God did not bless me with that. Although everybody that is friends with me knows that have some children in my life that I am trying to help raise. So they
Right.
say I have I you think I you just didn't birth them, they're yours.
That's what I was just gonna say. I ain't birthed one, but girl, I done paid for college, bought cars, school clothes.
Yeah,
Oh Lord, you name it. Okay, you name it. I done had, but
but
just
I
because you
just
didn't, just
yeah
because you don't have children, don't mean you're not a
a parent.
parent.
Yeah,
Yes,
I just
yes,
with the situation with these kids, when I was 13 and when I was 15, um, this was a different time. So I think when you look at that situation, we not only do we need a safety plan, but you know what? I remember they had programs when we were children
yes,
about like where you could
yes,
make a little money, for the summer.
yes,
And
yes.
what happened to all of that stuff?
Well, not just that. I remember when we used to have day camp. If you
Yeah.
could pay a few dollars and you can go up to the school every
Hmm.
day. They had field trips. They had open gym. They had, classes to cultivate that energy in you that's building up over the summer when school
Right.
was out. To direct that energy in a positive
Then,
manner. They
but I
starting to
also
say,
had flossing.
yeah, they start right. They starting to say that this homicide situation and the gun violence, they're starting to consider it a public health issue. Okay.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm glad that maybe them putting uh that type of importance on it is a
Right.
good thing. I hope, because this is something that specifically affects the Black community a lot. I hope that is not taken as a way to and to put strongholds and things on our children that are unfair.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I hope that that's not what this is used for. I'm hoping that it is used like um, we saw the epidemic with opioids. So, prime example, I want this to be treated as the example as the opioids was, instead of how we were treated as a community when crack was the thing.
Well, okay. Here's some points. They're saying that we need some gun violence task force and gun violence programs. We also need gang related nonviolent programs because with that idleness comes a lot of unnecessary and negative pressure. So what they're saying is, should we hold parents responsible? I mean, is it should we do mandatory curfews? We know we need some programs, and like you said, we used to have those summer programs where you can get a little job and make you a little change, buy your school clothes and stuff like that. And we also had day camps, and the schools were also open. But that goes to just back to that. They're saying it surrounds communities,
Mhm.
education, okay, literacy, and jobs and stuff like that. And we all know who always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to those things. So
I think holding the parents responsible is a component that needs to be addressed. For instance, you and I always talk about our mothers, our mothers and our fathers. Like I didn't need a summer program because if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, my mama was gonna find something for me to do. I would be washing the
baseboards,
baseboards
walls, they'll
around the
work you
house.
to death.
She will invent something for me to do. She'll pull out a whole bunch of stuff and then put it back. And hey, Claude Banks and Linda Chilton, how are you guys doing? I saw Sister Taliba on there. I saw Sister Aquil on there too. Thank you guys for tuning in and
Yes.
taking the time out your Friday after evening. I'm sorry, that was just I had to give them a shout out. I'm
And
like,
I
Tom
can't
Jordan,
see
we
none
don't
of
do
them to
shout
shout
outs.
them out, but thank you for watching. You right, Stephanie. But then we also got to consider this too, Stephanie. They took discipline from the parents a
They
long
have.
time ago. So when you did that, now we have a generations of parents who are afraid of their kids.
Yeah.
Because not only are these kids killing each other, these parents got to be scared of they taking over the house. You know,
Yeah.
it ain't the same as when we was coming up. You wasn't gonna run Flossie in them house. Now that's just the bottom line. Miss Flossie went, and my mom and daddy went. See, and you know, if they tow your tail up, the police, you can call the police if you want to.
Girl, you
And the
would call
sad,
my mama would have packed my stuff, what little stuff that she would let me
yes,
put, because she would have been like, "Oh, that's mine, right
yes.
there."
I used to tell
Can't
my
take that
dad.
PlayStation. That's
I,
her. That's
I
mine.
I used to tell my dad, Curtis. I used to, he did bless his soul. He's gone to glory. I used to tell him I'm gonna run away. He used to tell me, don't run, walk. You that'll
Ooh,
make
I
me
wish
so
I would
mad.
have told. I wish I would
Cause
have told
that was
you
his
that.
way of daring me. That was his way of daring me though. I already knew man, what you better
Linda
you
would
was
have been
gonna
like, "Let me drive you."
right. That
Which
he didn't
car you
offer
want to
that
ride
before. He
in?
didn't offer to buy my bus ticket or whatever because he knew I wasn't going nowhere. But it's sad what some of these parents have to face,
Yeah.
and the disconnect is social programs and economic opportunities and education opportunities, and you know, I mean, it's ran in the ground, honey. So I think, like the CDC was saying though, and this lady that's an epidemiologist, Caitlin Jettling, Jetalina, you know, they were saying that is it, and it's also population population crisis control is what they're saying is a population crisis. So because you have so many young people, they're saying amongst young people, gun violence is the number one cause of death, not car accidents, not cancer, gun violence. Some of suicides are number one, and then next is homicides. And this is the CDC speaking on. And then we ain't gonna leave out the mass shootings that I think help kick this off. That those aren't being addressed either. But like you said, it's all coming down to we have to, as the residents, as the citizens, hold our government responsible for implementing these type of things that make our lives better and our communities worth living in. And until we get some of those public safety plans, gang violence programs, parents, and like I said, I don't know how much can, you know, I'm all for holding the parents, but well, we're wrapping up on the 1420 side. So we're going to close out with this has been a community conversation. We're speaking on gun violence in the community because we see that there's an uptick. Like I said, we only have 5 cars per shift on the streets in the city of Flint. So we want to do more concerning that. We want a public safety plan. We probably need a uh,
Gang
gang violence task force at this point. But I think we have to all come together, not point the finger, even if you don't like people. Sometimes you have to work with those people because that's their job and it's your job to do that. So I'm at the point where I think our young people are worth saving. So I think those things should be considered. Stephanie, we got about 25 seconds. Would you like to close out on 1420 side?
I out of all of the madness that's been going on with city council in the last couple of months, there was a PAL program that has been funded and expanded. So some of those ARPA dollars have been allocated to that program. I think that needs to be explored. If you have a child that's out here that needs to get some information. We're gonna post this on Carol McIntosh's First Ward Council page. Go to her page and look it up. We're gonna post the information on there with the contact info.
That's
So
Facebook stuff.
that's Facebook, okay? Or
Okay.
and or get in touch with us through ATN Media. We'll get that information to you because
Or, or
we
you
need
could
our kids to take advantage of that.
Or you can also go to a community conversation on Facebook. The information will be posted there as well. This has been a community conversation. Like we say, love yourself, love somebody else. Until next Friday, which is the next Good Friday, be safe. Peace. And back to the 810 side. Yes. You're right, Stephanie. That PAL program, I saw that funding went through for that. And I think that's where we need to start. Yes, I think we can speak to parents, like I said, because yesterday I came in contact with a lady who has a 22 years old son living in her house. She is working 20 hours a day. She has two jobs, and she was outside yesterday cutting her own grass. And this lady busted out literally crying on me. And I felt so bad for her, but she was doing what it took because she had served him eviction papers. But she was just so outdone and she was just so full till she couldn't hardly speak without breaking down crying. And I thought about that situation and I couldn't imagine that. Um, because what would it take to get your 22-year-old son to just cut the grass because he's not working nowhere, he's not contributing, he's not doing nothing but just lounging in her house. And I'm thinking that would become a potential situation
Yeah.
because you couldn't lay in my house like that and make me cry.
Mhm.
And I'm working 20 hours a day, and then I got to come home and cut the grass, and you've been laying up in my house, son, man, whoever,
Yeah,
whoever.
I would have. That would have. I would have blown the gasket. One day I would have. You'd just seen the big poof if you looked up in the air.
Oh man, what I mean, I think I would have probably went to jail because this
Yeah,
lady, like I said, she said she literally turned her water off to get him out her house. He just will not go. So
he's
so we
squat.
got
He
parents,
now he's turning into a squatter. That's bad. That is
right? But
bad.
my thing is, I think this may have started before he got to be 22.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She's just
So
at the point now where she's had enough. But I
right.
mean,
So that when I what made me think of her is, the fact that I said we can hold the parents responsible, but I think it's to the point where some of these parents are afraid of their children.
yeah.
I and I can understand that because they whooping their mamas and daddies. It's not the same.
I have a 14. I think he's 14 or 15-year old little cousin, and he's out here now. We I can't do anything with him. He's his father. God rest his soul is gone, and
Um,
he's bucked up on the mom, and he's walking or he's posting pictures on Facebook with guns, and it's a mess. And as an extended relative, I can't do anything. And I think the mom is just she's
I
I
mean,
guess
what you gonna do? They bigger than you. They stronger than you. They toting pistols. I don't think as a resident or as a parent, you should be put in a position to have to do any kind of bodily harm to your child. So now we need a program for parents that's afraid of their children. Because I think when you took discipline away from the parent, you started cultivating this spirit of
because
no
he's
discipline,
told
no
her. Yeah, he's told her, don't if you put your hands on me or whatever, I'm gonna call child protective services on you. So I mean, you know, and
yeah.
I have seen, in my other life, I was a bail bondsman, so I've seen what that does to because there are some people out there now they need to go to jail. But there are some other people that um
Need support.
they
Need
need
support.
support, and their lives have been turned upside down by this child that that needed discipline. And
So let me ask you this. So do you think so you agree we need a gang violence program or a gang violence task force?
I think we need a gang violence. I think that a part of the safety plan that needs to be put together,
Yes,
that needs to be a huge component of it.
yes.
There needs to be about 4 or 5 parts of the safety plan. You need to address the drug problem that we have here in the area. We have a theft problem here in the area. I mean, there's just all kinds of other
Well,
unforgiveness. I mean, we have the violence, and if you look at all of these things, I think if they're all working together, you'll find that, for instance, the theft problem started maybe something, and then it snowballed into the killing, or or the gang is related, the gang violence is related to the a theft problem. So I think we need to get together. um I think there needs to be some communication. I think we need to start communicating with the outside agencies that we have here, because again, from the word on the the word on the street, from that Beecher, the thing that happened out in Beecher versus the thing that happened in on Banbury Court, they were related. Now I don't know how true that is. This is Facebook. The, you know,
Right. So, so,
Facebook.
so, so, yes, we need a gang violence task force or program. Let me ask you that. So, you think? I think parents should be responsible to their child get a certain age, because at some point, even if you do your best to raise your child, if you got a bad seed, when
Mhm.
this bad seed realizes that he can possibly take you, what can you do? That puts you in a position to become possibly a criminal, and sometimes you have other kids dependent on you, so you just can't make that sacrifice.
I
So
think that they need to have the resources available for a parent that that is willing to go as far as they need to go. Because
right,
I don't have any children, but I would hate to be that person that at the end of the day
you got
couldn't
to make a
say I
choice like
did
that.
everything that I could do before
Right,
I
right,
let go. So
right.
that's my two
So
cents. I think some mentoring. I think we need some mentoring programs. We need these men that are, because there are some great men in this community that are doing some wonderful things. I think we do need to get some of these men back involved in the community, that that can mentor these kids and help some of these kids that are, because we gotta, like it or not, we got a generation of kids that's running around here with, that their fathers are either in jail or have are dead or are not in their lives for whatever reason. I mean,
okay, so let me ask you this. Should we enforce a mandatory curfew? Do you think that could help us with this issue?
well, in a perfect world, maybe it would, but we got 5 police officers on the street, so who gonna enforce it?
5 cars. I don't know if it's
Five, well,
two
five
people
cars.
I don't know if
We
it's
got
two
five
people in
cars,
each car, which give us 10. I don't know
right?
how that works, but
So we get 20 kids loose, it's over.
you so crazy.
So
Okay,
I'm just
well,
saying.
I agree with the task force for gang violence because that's a horse of a different color. Um, and a lot of times, like you said, it snowballs into other things because that comes with possible drug activity, possible human trafficking, because we got the most young girls, young people coming up missing from the area. It's not even being talked about on the news. I don't understand that. It
we
used to be
struggle we struggle with our news media here, our mainstream news media, our podcasters. Shout out to Mick. Our
yeah,
podcasters are doing their thing, but we still have a problem where little black girls are not treated the same.
valued are not
We're
valued.
not valued. They're not valued. It's always, if a little black girl is missing, she's fast. She's this, that, and the other.
But
And
I gotta say this. I gotta say this. Over in that Finn Road area, it's a lot of
mhm.
white girls coming up missing too.
Yeah,
So,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
well, they come over there. That's just a cesspool. Sound like for human trafficking over
And I'm
there.
gonna tell you, when I was like I said in that previous life, when I was a bail bondsman,
Mhm.
I saw the human trafficking. You would see how what they do. So if you were, I'm in Virginia, and you would see a girl from California, and
Yeah,
what she's doing.
right.
She doesn't have access to her family. I mean, it was a those charges would be misdemeanor charges out there. So I mean, you
And
know,
a lot of that comes with this fantasizing that you a baddie on Facebook and advertising. You know, my young people, when my niece was living with me, I didn't allow her to have a Facebook because I feel like to a certain extent, social media is just a way for negativity to seep off in people's lives that don't want to be bothered. So I think that they're using this technology. I don't think that the people that are in charge of our everyday being is using the technology to benefit us as far as safety is concerned. So yeah, I'm pushing for that public safety
section,
program.
social media is a gift and the curse. I mean,
Yes,
it's a good way to get information out. It's a good way to stay connected with people. But I mean, just like with everything else, I mean, it's evolved. I mean, when we were growing up, it was the the creepy person with the white van with no windows,
yes.
and now the creepy person now is coming into your computer or your phone.
And
Um,
meeting you wherever you're going. So
yep.
earlier this week, the U.S. Surgeon General declared that gun violence is a public health crisis. Many narratives immediately push back that it isn't, but they're saying that gun violence doesn't have a place in the public health issue lane. But public health is broader than just um, it's broader than you think. It's more than pandemics and cancer and things of that nature. And it's also called health, population and health. So coming into the limelight with COVID-19, we have to understand that we have so many issues bigger than that. Like I said earlier, um, gun violence against children is one of them. The number one issue for child deaths are by way of gun violence, guns, suicide being number one, homicide is number two. If the science protecting and improving the health of people in their communities. That's what it is. Public health is that science. And we need that science to spill over into our gun violence issues. We need that science because we already know that it's woven into the fabric of certain communities, certain economic situations, certain cultures of people. You know, I'm not understanding. I said a few weeks ago how our young men, they can't get a job, they can't get an education, they can't do any of these things, but they can get AK-47s.
AK
I,
47s and Chargers
I'm not understanding, and pit bulls
and pit bulls. You're
and
right.
pit bulls.
No,
You know,
I noticed some. I noticed, unfortunately, I think that the black male that was uh, shot on Pearson Road that they found today, that was also in your ward, was in the first ward, wasn't it?
yeah, Pearson Road is the first ward. It
So it
cuts
seems
off.
like it's a powder keg over in that area right now because the young men that the
Well,
young
depending on what end of Pearson Road, because Pearson
yeah,
Road goes a long way. So
they said Pearson and Lawrence, and I didn't- I had a little.
Lawrence, oh, that might not, because I've never heard of Lawrence, so that might not be over here.
I gotta
Um,
see where that is, but it just seems like and I know the young men on Bainbury, that's literally around the corner from you. It just seems
right.
like the first ward has so many things that need to be worked on, and a lot of things aren't being taken care of. I had a friend that's over there. I gotta send you the picture of it too. Her tree, her driveway, I'm not her driveway, her sidewalk is just it's like it's not laying flat like this. It's laying
The
like
tree is moving it. Yeah.
they rooted it up.
But you know what? It is a lot of that in the first war, but I think there's a lot of that in Flint because they planted trees when they were building these houses, and now the
Mhm.
trees are humongous, and they're clogging up the
Sewer
piping.
lines and
Yeah,
everything
because I done talked to people that they basements backing up, and That's an issue in Flint with people's basements flooding,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in particular areas. But and it's a lot of that in the first ward, but not just the first ward. But we have a lot of work to do. Like I said, and I do want to say this: public health is most effective when it's combined with science, education, policy, advocacy, and innovation. And that means that we have to keep remixing that thing and keep working on it. And like you said, it's time for us, the infrastructure situation. Joe
Yeah.
Biden has invested a lot of money in infrastructure, but you have to use those dollars wisely. And I think it would be wise. It's a lot of stuff that would be wise, but I think we need to start looking at pulling up some of these old trees, getting our sidewalk, because old people can't even get out in the summertime and walk because they using side streets like I-75. We need some speed bumps on these side streets. It don't make no sense. Like you said, they charges. It don't make no sense. How? Ooh, I used to couldn't understand when I was young why old people didn't like young folks. Now I'm getting
I get
old,
it now. I get it. I
man.
get it. Woo, I get
Right. Do
it.
you got to do 95 down the side street while little kids is
Yeah.
riding they bike? And I know you ain't got no job, so where you going to so fast? But okay, they even deserve some grace and some love too. So I think it takes community, it takes parents, it takes uh policing, it takes all of us as a community. That's why they say it take a community. We have to get our teenagers and young people to understand that they will be held responsible at some point in their lives for their actions. We have to get our leaders to understand that education and economic stability and opportunity is, to me, the answer. Public safety and economics, because when young people are able to earn their own monies and have a sense of pride and see that they have something to live for, they tend not to make as many unnecessary decisions or take unnecessary chances. They put a little more value on their situation. I think we've gotten away from that. We have a from school to prison pipeline. That's what the school system is referred to in our communities. It's a reason for that. And like you said, we gotta do something about this gun violence. We gotta get parents involved. We gotta get people to stop thinking about their wealth, their self, and we gotta get back to the community. That's it. It's just that simple. What you think?
I agree. And I I believe also that with what we have going on here in this, because you know what, I love Flint. Flint has got some good people here. I've had an opportunity. I was participating an event, and I had an opportunity to talk to some people in the area, like just everyday folk, and it was a good conversation to get involved and see what people needed and what people were what their
Expecting.
concerns were and what they were expecting, and it was a good conversation. I um i look at some of the people that he are here in this area, that they had an opportunity to leave and they stayed. um we got
Man,
some homeowners here that are taking very good care of their property, and I mean, they plant out beautiful flowers and things, and I just, they still take pride in the community. Now
yeah,
we do have a rental problem, and the first ward has it's all over the city, but I do know the first ward is probably one of the areas that has probably the highest concentration of it. We have some landlords here who, for lack of a better term, they're slumlords.
man, don't say that, but they
They are
is.
slumlords. They're not taking care of their property. They're not
But
taking care of their properties.
but you know what I gotta say? But the
Huh?
people, the landlords, everybody, ain't nobody, no one has been getting taken care of. So everything has kind of fell to the wayside, I
Mm-hmm.
think. But maybe I'm just making excuses. Maybe I'm making excuses.
Well, I think that when you start taking pride in your community, then you start, when you start taking pride in the community and people start getting that sense of that they're feeling valued, and because people in Flint, I mean, we've been getting beat up. We've been getting beat up. I mean, it's been one thing after another, one thing after another, one thing after another.
It has, man. It has. It has. It has.
And
Yeah.
I think it's just at a point where we need to get back to the basics. I think we need to if when we had pride in the community, and people took care of their properties and things. I think it's just we were doing some good things. So I'm just I'm looking forward to getting back to that. And I think I kind of got off a subject on that, but you know, we've had a lot of things going on in the community. Like I said recently, the the violence thing has really taken a a
And you know who else we need to include in that? Excuse me for interrupting.
oh,
The churches, because one summer I worked at
mm-hmm,
a program at St. Peter's up there on Pearson Road, right by 475. And they
mm-hmm,
had like a program for the children in the church and the parents. Is like a little day camp, and we
mm-hmm.
did arts and crafts. They had snacks. We helped them with weak subjects, or when they went back to school for the year, they were ready to perform. You know, we got a little paycheck, and that was the last summer job I worked before I went away to college, and that's how I bought a lot of my supplies for college. I mean, you could go almost anywhere. You can go
Mm-hmm.
to the church, the public school system, do a
You
different
know,
program.
we had black entrepreneurs in the area
Yes.
that would let you work. I remember. Look, I'm show you how old I am. I remember working for Joyce Robb.
I used to work for her too. She used to have so much paperwork. Ooh,
Bless
Lord.
her heart, bless Miss Joyce. But I remember working
Yes.
for Joyce Robb at what was that really what was her realty company?
I,
I
I
can't remember.
worked I
API
worked
API Realty.
I worked at her house on her stuff. She had a little computer room and stuff in her downstairs that she handled a lot of business for. And I had to keep up with the billing and the this and the woo. She was moving and
Yeah,
shaking though. She didn't mess around.
that was
She
one of the first black women in this area to let you know you could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of realtors, her and Diane Martin and who else was
Mhm.
all of them. It was you're right. And then I remember her name was Doris Thomas. She used to be up at NBD. She was sharp.
Yep. Yep.
She was
Yep.
sharp. And then you look at I remember going to Christ Fellowship as a young girl, and oh my God, some of them ladies, this one lady, she's still up there, she a usher. And she still looked the same. This lady ain't aging, but I forget her name. But she used to be sharp. And Miss Cecilia Turner, golly,
Oh,
that lady used to.
Miss Turner used to be sharp too. Yeah.
Yes, she did. We done got all off the subject. Look, we talking
We
about the
have look.
programs. Girl, she used to be sharp. But those are people who inspired us, and she was
Yeah.
a mover and a shaker. And like you said, so you could go to these different people and get into these different programs, and they could employ you. And we've lost a lot of that though
You know
because
they would hire you just because they knew your mom and your daddy.
yeah, and but they had stuff for you to do because we could have went up to the car wash, the Armstrong's hand
Oh,
car wash.
yeah, Gator put you to work.
Yeah, if you need a little job, and Gator gave a lot of people that had criminal backgrounds and
He
things of
gave
that
people
nature.
a chance. He
He
gave
gave them a job and gave them a chance. Maybe even gave them a place to stay.
so I
Rental
think
house.
look, I think Red got a retirement plan out of Gator D.
Yeah, man, I know that's right. I know that's right. So that's how Flint used to be.
Yeah, but
I remember, but we don't have that anymore. I
we
mean, it's
don't have
like
those people with these businesses and stuff anymore. I look at Clio Road and I just
Blaine Buick used to be up there too. Used to have two bowling alleys, one down by Carpenter Road and one by Pearson, and both of them used to jump. All kind of barbecue. Lord, we fell so far, and I think the demise of community entrepreneurship and economic freedoms have crippled us and brung us to this point. It wasn't just crack, and y'all know how I am. I just be feeling like we done been set up for some of this mess. But
Yeah, I think it's been a systematic
plan, a
plan
systemic
to
plan.
do things to stop us. I mean, I look at some of our community strongholds, and some things are barely holding on. I mean, look at the struggle that McCree Theater went through, but trying to be open and to stay open. And I mean, there's
Yeah,
no way that McCree Theater should have had to go through what they went through to try to get a building in place. That place, McCree Theater, is an institution here in this area. So I mean, how
my
many?
friend My friend's daddy used to work for McCree Theater when we was at Gundry, and they used to call up there to his job all day long. But that was his real job every day, working at McCree Theater. When it
But
was
how
up there
many
by
of us didn't take like tap dancing lessons and stuff like that there and all that stuff? I mean, it's just there. It's been there. It's been
right,
a community stronghold. And I even Hasselbrink over in your area, those seniors over there they got an awesome group of seniors over there that do a lot of
yeah. See, but they ain't shooting up and bang banging. That that's the senior stuff.
yeah,
They
but I
know how
feel
to
bad
act.
for them. I feel bad for them because they're living next door to the shoot 'em up and bang bangs, and
Yeah, that's
they're
the problem. That's what I'm worried about. You be done worked and paid for your little stuff and got your future planned, and then the next thing you know, you living in a war zone. You on a fixed income, and you can't afford to get out or do any better because of your economic situation. It's so sad, and but they're so the CDC is getting involved. They're saying that it's a public crisis now, a public health crisis. Um, we have the science. We know
we
basically
know what it
why.
is. We have all the science. We know we have the figures. We know how it started. We know what the what wins wheres and how
Why
now we it's just got to be executed, and we can't do that if we get 94 million or 96 million. How much money did we get? 94, 96 million dollars, and we down to nine, and we don't have an economic plan. We don't have no economic development. We got
we need a public safety program. We got to
well
get
we got
public
and we
safety.
have a cleanup. So then I noticed that we have some folks that have that are having cleanups in their wards
Hmm.
that have gotten ARPA dollars, but they want people to volunteer. So what do we give you the ARPA dollars for then if you got people that's volunteering? See, that could have easily have been a program where you got maybe 10 kids out your ward
Well,
and
see, that's to buy trash bags and rakes.
girl, okay. I go to Sam's and buy my
Because
trash.
my thought is this: if I got to volunteer to clean up, then if I feel like that, I'm gonna volunteer and bring a pack of leaf bags. Then I mean,
Yeah,
I agree with you. It don't take that many dollars to do 3 or 4 cleanups throughout your ward where you need hundreds of thousands of dollars, but yet you done three cleanups or however many and put on 2 roofs. I bet you did put on a couple roofs.
and we have a black department. Harletta down there. Harletta be down there. Harletta down there working. So what? I just don't get it. I just
Yeah,
don't.
her letter just one person though. We gotta realize that the her letter dispatch the call out, somebody gotta go do the work. And I think that's where the breakdown may be
But
happening.
but you know what? I think that those because I've seen the guys out there. I've seen them over there working. But
It
again,
ain't enough of them. But
yeah,
they got
there's
two
enough of
or
them.
three of them for the whole city. No, it used to be where that was somebody's job 247. They go to Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then start over at Ward 1. And then if somebody called from Ward 7 and they give them a situation
Mhm.
and they roll past there, they got to jump on that too. See, we don't have no more of that. It's all this old.
And I'm gonna tell you something too. For if they did $9 million, I think that last bad gas garbage contract was $9 million. You mean
Mm,
to tell me we couldn't have gotten some trucks? and got our
Well, see,
garbage permit back
that's
together.
why we in debt because they set us up and sold all our equipment so they can cripple us and so they can milk us because we don't have any other options. See, that was the overlay for the underplay when they sold the garbage trucks, the salt trucks, the this. They sold all the equipment. So now you got to go outside your community and beg somebody, pay them millions of dollars and beg them to come through every now and then and do what they pretend like they say they was gonna do. And another thing, I remember when the land bank got some millions upon millions of dollars. Somebody said 16 million, I'm
They
not
got
sure.
$16 million, and then we still giving them more money.
But they ain't knocking down, they knocked down two or three houses or something. No, this grass need to be cut on a regular basis because grass grow more than once a year. It don't make no sense.
And that process needs to be transparent and it needs to be streamlined when
Yeah,
those
because you
properties go to the land banks for so that the residents can get. I you know what, I have a friend. I went over to visit her, and her house is next door to a land bank house, and it looked like I don't even know. I can't even tell you what it looked. I It's undescribable. They didn't let the roof fall in, and she's lived in that house forever. That it was her house that her
family, her
dad,
mother.
yeah, her dad lived in this house when we were growing up. So
Right.
the house was a nice house. As a matter of fact, I used to look at the house and admire the house because it was a little different from the other houses over there.
And
And
see, that's another issue I have with the land bank because they hold on to these properties, hoard them. They don't want you to have them because they too scared that you're gonna be able to earn an honest living and they can't put their foot on your neck. I guess I don't know what other than to drop the property value of the city and leave us destitute and take our houses and
then
our economic wealth. Why would you not sell the house? Then when the roof falling in, then you want to try to showcase it. Or now I got to live with this blight. And then
Mhm.
I want to know how come they're not being held responsible. If you let a house get in that condition, the land bank ought to have to pay to get it torn down. It should be torn down in a timely fashion. And they need to have to cut their grass just like the residents that own a house have to cut their grass. And then they gonna tag some. Okay, I ain't gonna even go. But you out here tagging cars that's in people's driveways, but you can't get this grass cut.
It's nobody is being held accountable for the right thing, and that tagging thing that you were talking about, that's retaliatory. And if anybody else tell me anything different, I'm gonna call BS.
Yeah,
So
that is. You up in somebody's driveway in the back of their house tagging cars. But
yeah,
here you got all this blight, roofs falling in, trees falling on houses that people live in. The sidewalk is flipping upside down, grass to the waist. That you ain't
I know
addressing none of them
somebody that
issues.
has had a car parked on their front lawn with no tag on it. I They park on their front lawn and has been there. The car been there so long, the car got a flat tire.
Mm, they ain't
And they
saying
have
nothing
not
to them.
they ain't got no tag, they ain't got nothing.
Yeah, well, that's just how it is, and I think that maybe some of the issues that plague our city, we get so caught up in this ugly, ugly, nasty, nasty, lying on people. We're spending our time on the wrong things, and I think it's time for us to get focused on a standard and reasonable a reasonable measure of everyday life. I mean, we've stooped so low, and nobody should have to live like that, especially when you expect them to pay their property taxes and all this, then the third on time, and if they late, you're putting a penalty on it. Okay, well, it's time for us to hold some of these people um, at the top who are supposed to be implementing programs and making sure that we, the residents, are being taken care of. That's just what I think about that. And I think we need to start with a public safety plan because I think a lot of residents would take care of their own properties if they weren't afraid to come outside sometimes. Like I said, a shootout at the banana boat, now this. And I mean, like you said, the summer is just not kicking off.
We ain't even in the July.
And then, some of the decisions we've made in the past that were not economically sound have crippled us here in the present, and it's going to cripple us in the future because now we've blown those dollars or dwindled those dollars away, and here we still have the same issues. We haven't addressed any. People still have tarps on their roof that should not have tarps on their roof because they should have been able to get their roofs replaced. We still have people with furnace issues, people needing new windows. I just think that we can do better, and I think the residents, I think we have to look at these different programs, make plans to do better, and hold those that are truly responsible. Everybody has to do their part, not just a few somebodies. Everybody.
I agree.
So
Totally.
I j- so we're not doing a curfew because you don't think that's gonna help. We need a program for parents, but we in all seriousness. We the public safety program has to be implemented like yesterday. We need to work on that like yesterday. And like you said, it needs to first and foremost getting off the ground floor include a gang task force, and I don't think it should be a gang task force that's out here gunning down kids or whatever. And I know they roughing you. Hopefully it doesn't, but I think it needs to include
Didn't they have
job
a program
training.
at one time when I believe it was under Tim Johnson though, but wasn't it like the Cat Squad or something like that? I used to hear great things about that Cat Squad and
They
um
did have a task force and they was bad too. Yeah, I remember that. And Chris was on there. It was a few of them. And they had a little TV show for a minute.
did
Uh, yeah, I think one of them people had one of those they had a little one of those squads, they had a little reality show. It didn't stay on long because I think people were saying, yeah, I don't know what kind of opposition they face, so I won't speculate. But it was on for a minute, and like you said, they was doing some serious work, and crime had dropped down. But now all of that's gone away, and I think when we take stuff like that away, we have to replace it with something because the problems don't go away, the criminals don't go away, the lack of economic resources don't take an uptick. So we have to, when we're getting rid of those programs that help taxpayers, true residents, the least of our children, that will affect our future, because we got to realize these kids are our future, the ones that'll be left, and they don't even know how to sign their names. Some of them, we talked about that, because everything's on the computer. I mean, but we have to have some real life bodies out here patrolling. We have to have real life bodies out here maintaining properties, shoveling snow, picking up our trash, mentoring our young people, real bodies at these programs when our kids show up. I mean, we made teaching, we've dwindled. I mean, they're starving to death working every day because the problem also is, and I'm speaking federal all over. We have a government that wants to slave labor everybody and keep the wealth for themselves. And people are not going for the slave mentality thing just to have a job. Our grandparents, you would get a job, get 3 jobs then. These folks ain't doing that no more. They like, I ain't getting no 3 jobs and still can't survive, still
they?
live in a violence riddled community that lacks police presence, clean water.
Well, we have people. It's a shame, but I noticed that when you have a group of, we had an outstanding group of graduates these last couple of years that have actually graduated from Flint schools. We
Yes,
had some standout people, and
yes.
I'm looking at them, and they I had an in-depth conversation with either one of them. No, I have not. But a couple of organizations that I belong to, we've given out scholarships and things like that. And I will tell you, in speaking with the few that I have spoken with, this does not even, 'cause staying in this area does not even come into their equation. They are trying to get away from here.
Well, you can't really blame them. For some of us, we'll stick it out and do the best we can. Some, some of us are dedicated to the area for whatever reason, but I'm going to be honest. If I had young children that I had to be concerned with their upbringing at this time, I'm going to be honest. I couldn't put my children in this situation. And I love my city, but I think
Mhm.
if I had babies to raise and their life and their future depended on it,
I
hey,
have to
I'd
here.
look out for my babies first. I'm sorry, I can't put my children's life on the line or put their economic future on the line or their mental stability or their psychological growth, because like we talked about the water, you can't drink the water. If you do, you got lead poisoning, psychological issues, motor skills are, everything's affected, then growth. I just couldn't do that to my child. So um I just feel like we're being forced out of here. And I think when it's all said and done, if we don't get a handle on some things that are taking place in our community, we in big trouble. So Stephanie, we have a few minutes. I can't see if this is 6 or 8. Look like we got 4 minutes left.
Got 4 minutes now.
Okay, anything you would like to say in closing? I'm going to give you that opportunity now.
I would first just like to say, Carol is running for first ward city council person. She's running uh, in in the first ward to replace the great late Eric Mays. Um, Carol was, and I'm going to emphasize Carol was Eric's pick for the Ethics and Accountability Board. She was a friend of his, and she also spoke at his funeral. So for those people who are are not believing that or think or saying that these things are not true, they are true. She does live in the first ward. Her mama
Yes,
lives
I
in the
do.
first ward, and she has rental property in the first ward. But
Yeah.
in Flint, um, if you own more than one house, you can't own more than one house. You can't own more than one property because we you know we ain't supposed to be able to do that. That's not what we're supposed to do. But okay, I have had my messy moment. I'm leaving it up to you, Carol, to wrap it up.
Um, and also, that was good because I do live in the first ward, and I don't have a 501c3, and I've dabbled in property renovation and things of that nature for many years now. So, you know, it is what it is. I didn't do it by way of nonprofit. I didn't do it if I'm blessed to get the seat. I didn't do it after I got the seat. I was doing it before. I do a lot of stuff on the back end that people don't know about because my public service is public service and my personal life is my business, and I'll share it as needed. But I am a resident of the first ward. I've never voted anywhere else but in the first ward. First of all, let's be clear. And as far as my literature, what was said, it was a quote that the late, and I'm gonna say this, I'm running to complete his term because there's no replacing him. You know, he was the creme de la creme of public servants. I will say that. But he was also an amazing mentor. And he said what is on my literature to more than one resident, to my understanding, because he was anticipating possibly being the mayor. So that means he would have had to be replaced. So when they asked him about that, who he would have replace him, that is the statement that he made. I didn't make that statement, but people don't want me to tell my truth. They want to tell my truth. And you don't know my truth. Okay? Because my business ain't everybody's business. And what he said to those people, that's what he said to them. Everything I put on my literature is facts. Now, it was a typo on one of them because it wasn't a 2 year situation, it was a 6 year situation. But I'm not going to waste any more time with that. My name is Carol McIntosh. I'm running for your first ward city council seat. My promise to you is when I sit at that council seat, I will be there to represent you, not sometimes, every time. And I will put community, obligations before personal gain. That is my promise to you. That is how I've always represented in my public service. And if you give me the opportunity, that is what I will continue to do. Thank you and have a blessed night. And until next Friday, have a good Friday. We love you, love somebody, and love yourself. Deuces.